When you were present, consistent, and solid, I didn't question it, not because I took you lightly, but because your stability felt natural. Effortless, predictable in a way that made me feel safe. You showed up without announcing it. You stayed without demanding recognition. And slowly, I began to assume that your presence was permanent. That assumption didn't come from disrespect. It came from comfort. You see, when something is rare, we often don't recognize it as rare while it's still within reach. We normalize it, we let our nervous system settle into it. And once it becomes part of our emotional landscape, we stop guarding it, not because we don't value it, but because we believe it doesn't require protection. I didn't think you'd leave, not because you lacked boundaries, but because you never weaponized them. You didn't threaten absence, you didn't disappear to be chased, you didn't love conditionally, and because of that, I unconsciously assumed you would always choose patience over distance. That's the paradox of rare people. They don't feel scarce while they're present. They feel grounding. And grounding things are often misunderstood as permanent fixtures rather than privileges. Only later did I understand this. Consistency isn't common. Emotional availability isn't guaranteed. Calm masculinity isn't everywhere, and yet I lived as if it was. When you finally stepped back, it shocked me, not because it was cruel, but because it shattered an illusion I didn't know I had built. The illusion that rare things stay even when they are taken for granted. That's when reality arrived. Quietly, honestly, and it taught me that rarity is often recognized only after absence introduces contrast. After you, life didn't go silent. It got louder. I was surrounded by interest, compliments, invitations. Conversations that started quickly and ended just as fast. On the surface, it looked like abundance. But emotionally, it felt thin, hollow, temporary. I realized something uncomfortable. Attention is easy to find. Depth is not. Everywhere I went, I met men who wanted access, not connection. They liked the idea of me, not the responsibility of knowing me. They spoke quickly, promised easily, and disappeared just as effortlessly. There was excitement, yes, but no grounding, no intention, no emotional consistency. And that's when life began whispering truths I had ignored before. What you gave wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic. It didn't come wrapped in urgency or intensity, but it was stable. Intentional, rooted. You weren't trying to impress me, you were trying to build something real. I didn't recognize the difference then. I confused stimulation with substance. I mistook emotional noise for emotional connection. Only after experiencing the contrast did I understand. Most people can offer interest. Very few can offer presence without performance. Most can chase, few can stay. Life showed me that what I thought was replaceable wasn't. It wasn't that I couldn't find someone else. It was that I couldn't find you in them, and that realization doesn't arrive dramatically. It arrives slowly, after repeated disappointment, after shallow conversations, after realizing that excitement without depth eventually feels lonely. That's when I finally heard the truth. What you offered wasn't common. It was quietly exceptional. You didn't leave with anger. You didn't beg me to understand. You didn't fight to be chosen. You stepped back, and that was the most powerful thing you could have done. Your silence wasn't a tactic. It wasn't manipulation. It wasn't emotional withdrawal designed to provoke fear. It was self-respect in its purest form. At first, I didn't feel punished. I felt confused. I waited for you to reappear, to explain, to reach out like before. But you didn't, and slowly, that absence began to teach me something words never could. I felt the weight of losing someone who never made me feel small. You hadn't controlled me. You hadn't diminished me. You hadn't demanded emotional labor without offering your own. And yet, without you, something fundamental was missing. Your silence created space, and in that space, I finally saw what you had been carrying alone. It showed me that real strength doesn't announce itself. It removes itself when it's no longer valued. That lesson is uncomfortable because it forces accountability. It removes the illusion that someone else will always absorb the imbalance. Your silence didn't shout. It didn't accuse. It simply revealed reality, and that reality was undeniable. I learned that someone who leaves peacefully leaves the loudest echo. You gave me peace, and I didn't know how to value it. I was used to emotional highs and lows, passion that burned fast, arguments that felt intense, reconciliations that felt dramatic. And compared to that, your calm felt quiet. I mistook stability for predictability, predictability for lack of excitement. And excitement, I believed, was the proof of connection, but excitement fades, chaos exhausts, and drama eventually exposes its price. Only later did I understand what calm really is: emotional safety, consistency, the absence of fear. You didn't create adrenaline, you created trust, and trust doesn't spike, it settles. Regret grows where safety once lived. When life introduced me to instability disguised as passion, I finally understood what I had misunderstood. Peace isn't boring, it's rare, and once lost, it becomes unforgettable. You never tried to compete. You didn't raise your voice to be heard. You didn't perform masculinity. You didn't fight for attention. You knew who you were, and you trusted time to do the explaining. That quiet confidence is intimidating only to those who mistake noise for power. You didn't argue your worth. You embodied it. And when you stepped away, you didn't collapse. You didn't chase validation. You didn't beg for recognition. You simply continued being who you were without me. That's when I realized something painful. Real value doesn't announce itself. It becomes visible through absence. Life showed me your worth by showing me everything that wasn't you. Many people wanted me, few chose me. Wanting is impulsive, choosing is intentional. You didn't desire me for the moment. You chose me with consistency, with patience, with presence, and once a woman recognizes the difference between attention and intention, she never forgets the man who offered the latter. Rarity leaves a permanent imprint. Even when life moves on, the lesson stays.